I'm no runner, but I have run every single morning for the past 1,880 days in a row.
So it all started when I was a sophomore in high school. I was 16 years old, and a friend of mine and I were talking and figured it would be a fun idea to try and run at least a mile every single day for an entire month. 30 days went by and it wasn't that hard. Checked that one off the list and the challenge was completed. I, however, am the kind of person that once I ask something more of myself or increase my own standard, there is no going back. So I decided to continue the challenge and just keep doing this mile run every single day. I did this for about 2 years, and at one point in that 2-year span, I think I got really sick and decided to not run one day. And I always looked back on that time and was super disappointed because I was like, why did I not just go out there and run? It literally takes like 7 to 10 minutes to just get this mile done, and I could have easily just pushed through that and kept my streak. But for some reason, I decided not to. Then at the end of that 2-year span, I actually got wisdom teeth surgery, and the doctor told me that I couldn't exercise for like 5 days, which is total garbage. Like, I totally should have done it, but I was afraid I was gonna mess up the stitches or whatever the situation was. So the week leading up, I ran 2 miles every single day, but then got the surgery, and 5 days after that, didn't do my run. So at the end of that 5 days of resting from the mile, I decided that even though I did the 2 miles a day before the week of the surgery, I figured it was only right to start back at day 1. So from that date, I started running my same mile every single day, and obviously this is something I had been doing for a couple of years already, so it wasn't anything new. Now 5 years later, since I restarted at day 1, I haven't missed a single day. Not a single 24-hour period has gone by that I haven't run my daily mile. I've had days where I was feeling terrible, I've thrown up on my run, I've fallen over during the run.
What's lost?
I was running one morning just like I normally do. My shoe caught the edge of the concrete and I freaking ate crap and stood up immediately, grabbed my phone and kept running. But I was absolutely in shock. I couldn't believe that after years of running, I freaking busted my tail on the sidewalk and actually fell while running. It was absolutely hilarious.
God dang. That was a long one. Oh man, that's beautiful.
Now this whole thing started off as this 30-day challenge and then kind of kept it going just as something to do. But what I realized is I kind of hated running. I did not like to do it. I felt like I wasn't good at it and it just wasn't fun for me. But I knew that there was this huge benefit from overcoming that thing every single day, and I started to realize the serious amount of mental strength that I was getting from doing this. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't have that resistance to get up and do it, but constantly breaking through that barrier over and over again allowed me to have serious growth in my mental capability and just my discipline overall. When it's like 4:30 in the morning and you've been sick for 5 days and you woke up at like 4, feeling much worse, with the worst sore throat of your life, but you still want to go run and get it over with? You know, it's interesting because I used to feel like I was going against the grain, like I was almost fighting myself every day doing this run because, again, I was terrible at it. I really hated to do it. But now it's become this thing where it is a part of my day. If I weren't to run my mile or miles in the morning, then I would feel totally incomplete. I would feel like I failed almost because in reality, running a mile is not that hard. I mean, it takes, less than 10 minutes to do, and it's not that physically demanding. So if I were to let some trivial thing or some bout of weakness in myself get in the way of me completing that thing, that would just be so disappointing. It's super important to me because every single day I wake up and I have this list of things that I need to get done because no matter what else happens throughout my day, I know that I've achieved these things that a lot of people aren't even doing in the span of a week, never mind every single day. And through that, I know that I'm really giving a good amount of effort. I know that I am giving everything I have to be the best version of myself, to become the person that I want to be in the future and not waste a single day that goes by. Now, the reason I only do 1 mile every day, and I kind of emphasize that I'm not necessarily as a runner, is because I'm not really training specifically to improve my running or improve my times at a certain distance at the moment. I'm really always just training my own consistency. I'm training my discipline and my ability to overcome the weakness of not wanting to get up in the morning and go outside and run. So it really comes down to my desire to just have this thing that I have to complete every day that isn't unreasonable for really any case. And I remember one time I was on a backpacking trip with some friends of mine, and I had never really gone camping before this actually. We were out in the mountains hiking for a few days. For 2 nights, we slept in a tent along this trail, just out in the middle of nowhere. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day and my friends were like, "You're not gonna have your alarm out there." So I wake up like every 30 minutes basically checking my phone to make sure I'm not like sleeping in until 8 a.m. or something crazy. Crazy to me anyways. But yeah, so I got up at 4:55 or 4:50 or something like that and was basically on the side of this mountain or hill or whatever you want to call it, running up and down like 100-yard distance for 10 minutes. And I had the flashlight on my phone shining in front of me. I had a headlamp on my head. Really couldn't see but like 5 feet in front of me. Honestly, I was kind of afraid that I was gonna get eaten by a bear or something like that.
And you're going, no! And that's how you die.
But thankfully, I made it out of that one alive and did that for 2 days in a row. And obviously this is kind of like a silly thing to do, right? But it shows that it's never really unreasonable to do these things that you tell yourself you're gonna do. And that's the whole reason why I choose this mile distance, because even in a case like that, I can still get my run done and still overcome that difficulty, even if it happens to be a bit more difficult on given occasions.
Yeah, dude, I realized like in the middle of that one, I was running pretty fast. Too. I was like, believe me when I say.
Now, I get a lot of comments on my TikTok videos asking about the weather and if I go out there when it's pouring rain or snowing, and the answer is obviously yes.
Wow, this is just beautiful weather.
Because it wouldn't count towards my streak if I just skipped a day because of the weather. But honestly, on those days, it's kind of more fun because you really step outside of the chore of doing the run, I guess you could say, and you're really looking at it from, oh wow, it's interesting how I'm still going to do this even though the conditions are terrible and most other people would just skip the run or stay inside. So that never really bothers me that much. It's honestly kind of fun when it's just going crazy outside, the wind is blowing and the conditions are kind of absurd, because it's just interesting to see yourself out there just existing and realizing that it's kind of fine. It's not as bad as people would think. It's honestly just a fun time. I think about 6 months ago, I was in Colorado for a snowboarding trip, and it was freaking so cold. I mean, I'm from North Carolina, so it doesn't get too bad here, but I think it was like -9 degrees or something. I don't think I had even been in negative temperatures before that, but you know, still had to get the run done, obviously. That's not gonna get in the way, but I do cold exposure before the run every day and didn't have an ice bath there, so I did a cold shower before going out for my run. So when I went outside, my hair was still wet and the mustache was still wet too. During the run, my hair just turned to absolute frost. I looked like Albert Einstein or something, but it's the times like those that are obviously difficult, but they're really fun to overcome, and then you can look back on it, and in reality, it's not that much of a struggle. You know, people look at these things, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's out there running in these sorts of conditions. But when you do it for so long, it's just a small added obstacle on top of that, and you kind of just go into it because really there's no other choice. So you're not sitting there deciding, oh, should I do this or not? It's just, well, I guess I'm going to do this, so we'll see what happens. So doing this all these years has really taught me to focus on always facing difficult things and being really reflective on my own thoughts, and you know, being really intentional about how and why I do things. You know, being out there really early morning and running, you have a lot of time to think, and I don't listen to music or anything while I'm out there. I just reflect and kind of try and understand my own thoughts and motivations for what I'm doing. And it's really kind of transformed my life. You know, I started out just doing this thing every day, and it's turned into trying to spread a message about your ability to become the person you want to be, really being within your capability, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from or where you started out. And that's exactly what I wanted to get out of really documenting my process of doing the run every day. I had run every single morning for 1,300 days, and on day 1,300 I decided that I should start making some videos and trying to share my perspectives and thoughts on things, and you know, things that I had learned from doing this thing for so long and just having all that time to reflect.
It is about 5:45 a.m. and I'm currently running my 1,300th daily morning mile in a row. I wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, no exceptions, and after a bit of daily meal prep, I go outside to run 1 mile. Now, running 1 mile once is not that hard for me, but 1,300 days in a row definitely has a fair bit of adversity to offer. And I wanted to post this video to hopefully spark some motivation and encourage you to be so consistent at whatever you're trying to do that people have a hard time believing it.
It's been really cool to see that it helps people kind of understand their own capability in their own life. You know, throughout the past 5 years of running every morning, I had always wondered why I was doing it exactly. You know, I knew that I was trying to overcome this thing that I didn't like and become mentally strong, but I knew there had to be a deeper meaning to wanting to achieve those things. And I realized that it really has opened up this door for me to be able to help other people, and that's really the coolest part about it for me. And even not knowing my exact purpose for doing this thing, I knew that so much was going to come from this extreme consistency. I've carried that into every part of my life, you know, the way I eat, the way I work on the things I'm passionate about, the relationships I have with people. That is the basis of everything I do. Really pushing myself every single day and trying to understand my own strengths and weaknesses has really given me confidence in who I am now and a really solid image of the type of person that I want to become.
That hill, and I'll just like, I'll see this whole thing, and I'll be like, oh my God, like I feel like grateful to see that. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now, if you are thinking about trying to start the Daily Mile Challenge, I think you absolutely should do that, because you will learn so much about yourself, and you'll learn that you really are capable of more than you think. I know everybody says that. Everyone that's achieved something says, oh, you're more capable than you'd imagine, but it's absolutely true, because the only way you can understand your capability is if you test it. And I think the Daily Mile is a great way to test that. It's absolutely amazing that no matter how long you've been doing it, I've been doing this for 5 years. There's people that have been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and every single day is exactly the same as day one. Sure, we have plenty of days in the past that we've done the same and might be more used to it, but nobody gets to coast. It doesn't matter how experienced you are in holding this streak. Every single day is another version of day one. And that's exactly why I love so much how consistency is really the only winner in doing something like this and trying to overcome the things about yourself that you don't necessarily like and really transforming who you are.
This is easy.
Thank you guys so much for listening to my story. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I really hope that you can get something out of my journey and the things that I've learned along the way and apply them to your life. If you're struggling with discipline or your perspective on life and your habits, I have a really great resource for you guys to check out. It's in the description of this video. I would love to hear what you think, and I would really love to help you out. Anything that you feel in your life that's assigned to you that you feel like is holding you back, that doesn't have to be a part of your life. You know, you have the ability to take over, make choices, and really control your mind to eventually have that drive and be that person that you want to become. So definitely check that out. And guys, thank you again so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Oh my God, I was so skinny. Wisdom teeth surgery was a scam.
I forgot the rest.